Hello everybody, and today I'm going to do a video regarding tier list and ranking the R6 operators. So, starting off, we're going to be starting off on attack. We're going to have... Actually, sure, we'll just go in this order. We have Amara. Amara is probably one of the worst operators in the game. She is not good at all. She's very loud when rappelling in. She's a very niche pick, and that's only when you're confident that either one, you're smurfing on them, or two, they're really disorganized or deaf. She's really bad, and I'd probably put her at D tier. Put her at D tier. And we're just gonna keep moving on with attackers. Ashe, I would say, is probably. I might change these as the list goes on if I see fit. Ashe is probably one of the... She is the operator that if you're good at fragging, she'll make you seem literally unkillable. So I'm going to put her probably A tier. Probably... I definitely put her A tier. Blackbeard is a controversial op. I don't like playing against him because I can't one-shot headshot him, but he's not good. He's just bad, because if you can just sit there and recoil control, which isn't that hard, you can just drill straight through his shield and destroy him. So I'm going to say he's better than Amara, and I'm going to put him at C tier. So moving on, we have Blitz. He's a low elo stomping pick. He's not good. He gets countered by mute, he gets countered by smoke, he gets countered by anybody who has enough timing to knife away his shield, or Warden, but that's something different. I'm gonna put him at C tier, just for how well he does in low elo. Now with Buck, he's getting nerfed supposedly on the test server right now, so I don't think he's gonna be heavily I don't think his play rate's just gonna drop to 0, but I'd definitely say he's probably an A pick still, because he has frags and he can go vertical, top or bottom, like up or down. It doesn't matter, because he's just using a skeleton key and he can just shoot the ground or the ceiling. So I think he's A tier for his utility, and his guns are really good, as long as you're not running the cameras, but besides the point. Capitao. I think Capitao is actually an S tier pick, because his utility he brings fire, and he can take people out of he can make them run out of a little hiding spot with the fire and how fast it spreads and how much damage it does. He also has smokes that he can shoot from a distance, and they're instant instead of waiting for a delay. And they also don't get countered by Jager ADS, and Jager's one of the highest win delta ops currently at the moment. He's one of the most played, so that's always good to not have to deal with Jager ADSs. And I think he's just an S pick for his utility. He also brings Claymore. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's just check. Capitao loadout. We have Claymore and flash grenades. Both are very good. Claymores are good for watching behind. Flash grenades are helping you siege a site, so that's pretty good. I think he's definitely S tier. You have Dokkaebi up next. Dokkaebi is, I wouldn't say very good. She can be annoying. She's really good in a coordinated team, like A pick for a coordinated team. But I'm gonna say B tier, just because it's not usually a coordinated team. But if it is, she's definitely A tier, because she just helps sieges and pushes so easily, because you can just hear defenders so easily. The phone buzzing is so loud, and they either have to give up their positioning and keep holding the angle, or they have to stop holding the angle and try to turn off their phone, which is 3 seconds probably, around that time frame. And that's a lot of time for somebody to push. Granted, they can cancel it, but then the phone will just go back to ringing. So, moving on to our next operator, we have Finka. Finka is very bad. I wouldn't say she's good, because her adrenal surge is really good for picking up teammates across the map when no one's around. But another thing that happens is I know there are people that can't play around Finka because they just forget what her gadget does, and they accidentally just, like, when you're recoil controlling, you just keep holding, they hold it down, like, instinctively, and they end up messing up a kill because they forget literally 0 recoil with Finka. So I'm probably going to put her D tier. She's only good in a coordinated rush. So, yeah. Fuse isn't as much of a throw pick as the D tiers, but it's easy to counter him with roamers because of how loud his cluster charge is. And going off that, the people below him or to the walls or to the side of him when he's fusing the walls, it's very loud and it's easier to run away from. But I'd say he's probably a C tier pick, definitely above, but so he has pretty good guns. Actually, I might. No, I'm not gonna. So moving on to Glaz. Glaz is terrible. He's terrible. After his gadget was nerfed so hard, granted he was blatantly just overpowered with his gadget and being able to see everyone at the color like the sun with how bright it was, how bright yellow they were in his thermal scope. So I would say he's probably C tier. He's still playable relatively, but that's only if like diffuser's down or they are sticking the plant and you just smoke and you just sit there and watch them. So moving on to Gridlock, I think Gridlock is a B tier pick, not in front of Doki though. I think she's a pretty good pick because she brings a lot to she has smokes, she has pretty good guns, and her gadget helps seal off like entrances because you either hear them get stabbed by the stingers or you hear them shoot the stingers, so it gives away their position either way. So I think she's really good for post-plant situations. Moving on to Yana, this is a character I personally really like to play. I think she's probably B tier, but not high-end B tier because her guns aren't phenomenal, but they're both ACOG, so I like that about her. And she also has frags, which is really important in at least attackers. Havanna, probably one of the easiest S tiers because she's a hard breacher who brings an incredible gun to the table, and she can demolish people just with fire rate and how she has really easily controllable recoil. And she also has the bearing 9 and the pistol as her secondaries, and those are both really strong. I like using the pistol a lot. She also has flashes, which are good. So she brings a lot of utility, really good guns. So that's why she's S tier. IQ, I think she's high A tier, probably contending for S, because with so many gadgets that are considered electricity or she can see, like Echo Drone, Legion Mine, Capcan Trap, Bandits, Pulse and Vigil, and Valkyrie make IQ super, super good. Like being able to go, like let's say Thatcher's banned on like border and you want to get the wall open, she can just go downstairs and see the Bandit charges and see Bandit placing them down possibly and just kill Bandit and break the charges, then you get the wall for free. So I think IQ's probably a super high A tier pick to S tier. Jackal, with his recent nerfs, he's not as strong, but he's still really oppressive to play against because he has soft destruction with his Ida S secondary, and he also has an ACOG on the C70 and the PDW, and I'm not even going to mention the shotgun as his primary because I'd be throwing if you did. He also has smokes, so he's really, I'd say he's probably the lower side of B, but he's still really good. Like, he's good for pushing sight, while like Gridlock is really good for holding down sight after you get the plant down. So moving on to Kali, easiest D tier. She's probably, actually, she's above Amara. She is terrible. Her gun is non-rewarding. It doesn't, half of the time the hit reg is so bad that you'll just shoot a 1 armor and they either get down or they just live and kill you because fire rate of the gun. She has a C7 auto, and I personally despise that gun because of how bad the iron sights are. Like, if we go to Kali, we see, like, the iron sights are very bad. I don't know if I can. Yeah, this is as close as we'll get. But you literally can't see what you're shooting at. She can just spray and pray basically, but you can't see anything. Like, it's not good. She has very bad irons. If I had a scope, it'd probably be busted, but she's not good. Her sniper rifle isn't rewarding. She's not even that good of an alternative to Thatcher because, as I said before, you can run IQ or Twitch, which is actually who we're going to be ranking next, just because she's been mentioned. Twitch is A tier, but not. Actually, I'm going to move IQ to S tier because of how important she is. Yeah, I think that's good. Twitch is good because her gun, the F2, despite nerfs, still has an incredible fire rate and not a lot of recoil. And she's also important because she can destroy mute jammers, mozzies, without having to risk actually going in, or like even using utility. And now with Twitch, after she's been basically reworked, she has infinite shots. So there's no point in wasting utility like Ash or Buck to try to get something that you don't need to, or that you can just get with Twitch, and it's just super easy to do. It's super free. Now moving on, we have Lion, the problem child for him and Ella. The problem child, problem children for the balance team at UB, because Lion on release saw a 100% banner pick, 100% ban rate, and he was so oppressive because even if you stopped moving, you'd still be spotted. You'd be live spotted. It wasn't live ping. You could see the silhouettes and literally just pre-fire their head. It's like a cav interrogation, except you can see the whole team, and you don't need to even risk yourself. You just need them to like even move once, and they're spotted. But recently, Lion has been nerfed quite a bit, and instead of an actual silhouette through the wall that you can see that's like red and moving, it's not that good anymore. He's still good, but he's not like that level. Granted, that level was blatant, overpowered, and super oppressive, and saw a 100% ban rate, but he's all right. In a coordinated team, I'd say he's still pretty good, along with Finka for rushing, except I think Lion is still more viable than Finka, because Finka can still hinder teammates by the teammates not remembering they have a Finka and recoil controlling still. So, yeah. I think Lion's probably low B tier. Moving on, where are we? Maverick. Maverick is probably a low A tier pick because he boasts a really good gun, the M4, a really strong gun. He gets flashes and claymores, which is helpful, especially when, like, on Clubhouse, Maverick is upside down repelling, breaking open. Actually, I don't think that works anymore. I think it might still work. Upside down repelling and burning open the wall when Thatcher's banned, and you don't want to run Kali because Kali, as I said, is not good. And Maverick is just a really good alternative to Thatcher because he can get multiple hatches by himself. It doesn't matter if they're electrified or not, as well as making walls soft. So that's really useful. Moving on, we have Monty. Monty is very, very, very strong. I wouldn't say A because these characters and up you can basically solo carry with, but I'm not going to say you can't solo carry with Monty, but it's much harder to because of unextending the shield, and that makes you very prone to just being destroyed by high fire rate guns if you try to ADS, which you shouldn't, or swing at someone. But he's very good, especially in a coordinated team. It makes it almost impossible to play the game with a Monty or somebody sitting there behind Monty watching you, and if they're in comms, they can just tell the Monty to move whenever, and the guy behind Monty can just click your head basically, like, for free, because you don't know when he's going to do it. Knock is not terrible, but not great. If I recall, she had gotten buffed and she got frags, unless I'm just completely mistaken and she's always had frags, but I'm pretty sure she had a claymore. A claymore flashes. Something relatively useless, but Knock, the FMG9 is very easy to control, but it does next to no damage body shots. And her shotgun is Legion and Ying shotgun, and that's just not good. I don't see a point to running the 5.7 over the Deagle. There's just no reason to, because the Deagle has such high damage and such, like, just high damage, and you'll just shred through them. And having frags, I think, what is the only thing that's keeping her from being in complete D tier. I'd say bottom of C, better than Blitz. Yeah, but if you're better, if you're, like, more aware and have more game sense, Knock can be really good. Like, Knock can be high B tier. But just in the genuine regular solo queue, she's probably going to be around C tier. Because she's more of, like, a gimmick than something actually being good. Moving on, we have Nomad. She was also a huge balancing issue for the dev team, because her Nomad chart, I personally think her gadget's really stupid, because you can't control where you're going. You can't shoot back. You're on the ground for like 2 seconds, and you're stuck in a animation getting up. And you can only cancel it midway to try to prone. But Nomad is probably... she's also good for after the plant has gone down, so I'd say she's probably like middle B tier. Moving on, who else do we have? We have Sledge. Sledge is... I'd say bottom of B. Bottom of B. Actually, probably better than Lion right now. And I say that because Sledge can control vertical play very... The issue with Sledge is that Buck is just almost a better option in every single scenario, because Buck can go... he can shoot the ceiling and the floor. Sledge can only break the floor. And with that, if they have a pulse, it's harder to kill a Buck opening the floor than it is to kill Sledge, because Sledge has to get up close to the floor and break it, where Buck can do it at range. But Sledge does have the L85, which is really good and really strong. It's a really good ACOG, and with pairing with the ACOG, you have the ACOG for long range, and then you have the SMG-11 for short range, and that thing just shreds. And he also gets frags, which is very good. Moving on, we have Thatcher. Thatcher is, I think, bottom of S tier, because he brings more utility. He could destroy gadgets. That's so much utility in and of itself. And if you haven't spotted people, just knowing what gadgets you destroyed literally can tell you the whole team comp. And he gets access to the L85, which is a very good gun. Sadly, not the SMG-11. Maybe they're going to add it soon, maybe not. But he also gets access to breach charges, which are good for vertical play, and claymores, which are good for watching your back while, like, let's say you're getting a wall or something. Thermite is easily an A tier pick. I wouldn't say high A tier because everyone else in A tier has really good guns, like the C8, the F2, the R4C, the M4. Thermite's gun isn't great, but he brings utility where you can literally just siege the objective. And I think that's really important, especially when you're coordinating with like a Monty or something, where you can just thermite the wall with a Thatcher, and then Monty just gets to walk in for free. He doesn't have to unextend his shield to break a barricade or anything. There's no risk to it. And I think that's really important because Thermite's really good into almost every team comp. Moving on, we have Ying. Another headache to deal with. She makes Jager and Wamai very strong, but you can shoot her candelas actually, but the issue is I don't know where to put her at the moment, because right now I'd say probably low B tier, because she's just like Lion. She's really strong in team comps, but in coordinated teams, not solo queue teams, because solo queue teams will run in after you flashed, and they'll get flashed, and then you're going to be the only one who can see. Granted, the enemies won't be able to see, but your teammates won't be able to do anything either. But the thing is, Ubisoft is deciding to give Ying one more candela and smokes back. And anybody who's played, when Ying had smokes, it was chaos. She could solo carry the entire game, just because she could flash in with so much, like 9 flashbangs. I think that's what that accounts to, because each candela is 3. Yeah, each candela is 3, because it goes yeah. And you flash a whole room, you throw smokes down, you plant, you get out, and then you win. Like, because then the defenders have to play for a retake, and that's significantly harder than just not having Ying just solo carry the game. But right now she's probably B tier, but I'm gonna put her low A tier, probably above Thermite, just for, it depends on how it goes. Because it can go either way. I was gonna put her initially right here with Lion, and it depends if these buffs go through, because if these buffs go through, she's easily probably an S tier. But I'm putting her A tier just to be more conservative. And is that every attack operator? Yes, it is. Alright. So, moving on to defenders, starting with Alibi. Alibi she brings not that much utility, but she brings her guns are very good. Well, gun, singular. She gets impacts and deployables, and both are very important. And even if she doesn't bring impacts, she gets the bailiff, which is essentially a pistol with shotgun rounds, low caliber shotgun rounds that can open up walls. And the Storm, which is her primary, can shred through people, and I'd say she's more of a solo carry champ than actually she's more going off of frags than going off of like intel and utility. So I'd still put her probably probably in B tier. Yeah. Bandit, probably a high A tier, because electricity is super important in this game, especially right now, because bandit tricking can be so prevalent and obnoxious to deal with that if they don't have an IQ and Thatcher's banned and they're not running Kali, it's really problematic for the attackers, because bandit tricking is, I wouldn't say the easiest thing in the world, but it's also not the hardest. But if it's done correctly, you won't be getting a wall open on your own. Moving on to Castle. With Castle's recent buffs to getting the super shorty, I don't think it impacts his stance in the meta that much. I'd still say he's probably a C tier pick. He's not that much of a throw pick as Knock or Blitz, but he can wall off things, and that's really good because it either gets the enemy to waste utility or they have to sit there and melee it, and then you know they're there, which can lead to a run out or a nitro at the door for a nice little surprise. And then we have Kuvira. Kuvira is terrible if the team knows what they're doing. The team knows what they're doing. She's easily like bottom C, maybe D, because if a team has drones watching the flank, just claymores everywhere, knowing exactly where she is, being able to track her throughout the map, then she essentially becomes useless because her guns aren't great. I know the M4, is that her M14? That's what it is. It's getting the Vortex sight, which is the same thing the P10 Roni gets, and it's a pretty good sight, but due to her low fire rate and having attackers like Havanna, Buck, Ash, Twitch, she can't necessarily compete with them. So I'd say she's pretty close to around high C tier. But if the enemy doesn't know what they're doing, she's easily A or S. Like, more in low elos, she's usually a Smurf pick, because people don't know what they're doing. Now, Clash, I'd say, is probably a D tier pick, because her shield, it's alright, but Sofia is a very prevalent operator, and I also apparently don't have Sofia in this, but Zofia's probably a high A to S tier pick because of how good her gun is, her utility is, as in her gadget, and then her secondary gadget, and her pistol has a sight, so that's always good. Clash is not good because she gets countered very easily by utility like concussions, claymores to a degree, but you can more or less get kill the enemies with their own claymore because you have a shield in front of you and that's blocking them. But she's not good once your electricity is down, unless the enemy just doesn't know how to deal with the turtle spin, which is something like Bikini Body popularized because of putting the shield on your back while spinning and then shooting them. But if you know they're gonna do it, she's just gonna die. It's not like it's something that's uncounterable and you'll just get destroyed by it every time. It's just not that good. It's only good for people who don't know what it does or what she does and what the turtle spin is. Moving on to Doc, we have an operator who has an ACOG and can tank bullets and heal up teammates. Doc is probably an A tier pick because he has ACOG on defense, which is becoming very rare nowadays, and he can tank a lot if they can't hit your head instantly. And he can also heal teammates, and he also gets access to barbed wire, which is very useful. And on occasion, bulletproof cam also works, and that provides more intel on the enemy team. So speaking of intel, we have Echo. Easily an S tier pick. I wouldn't say more S tier than anyone else. IQs directly counters Echo, but Echo is good because if they don't have an IQ and they aren't looking for drones, which is pretty common, and it's like last 30 seconds, Echo can just keep on his drones, but before he even does that, he can just run off, go to some random place on the map so they can't kill him, and then once they see the plant going down, he can just deny the plant and win from across the map. So Echo's really strong just because of that. He also gets access to an ACOG and the Bearing 9. And I think that's definitely a bunch of good reasons why he's S tier. So Ella, as I said, the duo problem child of the problem children, along with Lion. When she had a 50-round mag in a SMG that had no recoil, it was utter chaos, and she also had impact nades, which made it even worse, because you could throw the impact nades at people and not only deal like 50 damage, but you can also take away their hearing momentarily temporarily, because of that's just how Siege decides that's gonna work like that. She's very good still. She's not bad. She's just not. She's probably high B tier. She's really good for solo fragging. I'm just going to put defenders like that. She's really good for solo fragging, and she can win games just because of like how good her gun is. Just like Sofia, she also has a sight on her pistol. And if we go into this and we go to defenders, I believe she has barbed wire and a deployable. And with the new deployable changes, deployables are really strong when you're holding. So I think that's another reason why she's probably a high B. Actually, I'm going to move her to A, just because of having deployable and having such a good gun. Frost, not good. I'm going to just put all the defenders at the end of the attackers. So Frost is definitely better than Clash, but she actually she has the vortex sight, so it's not that bad. But her gadget, if you know there's Frost, they'll just jump. If they have to vault over everything, it's like muscle memory at this point to jump. As I was saying, it's essentially just muscle memory to shooting the frost mats. Moving on to Yoyo, I just need to redo this. Yoyo is easily a high A tier pick because of how much his gadget can influence like attacker pushes, because he can essentially just blow it up and then it's fire and then you can't push through it, and if you do, you're gonna be lit up. And he also has the TCSG, which does like 70 damage per shot, so you can essentially two-shot operators. And he also gets access to nitro and impacts, which are very good. Moving on to Jager, easy S tier because of how many how do I say it? Like how many flash frags, Thatcher EMPs if he throws it wrong, Ying Candelas, and with the buffs coming to Ying, it's only gonna make Jager stronger. So he's easily an S tier pick. He has good guns, good utility, good gadget, and good secondary gadget. Moving on to Cade. Cade is B tier, high B tier, because Electric Claw is very good, because especially on things like Kitchen for Cafe Dostoyevsky, in the back and freezer, you can electrify both walls and the hatch. And being able to electrify multiple walls with one gadget is very influential and is very strong. Moving on to Capcan. Capcan's just like Frost. Once you know they're there, it's very hard to die to them unless you just, you forget. Moving on to Legion. Legion's good because he provides utility. Granted, he can't see his Legion mines anymore, but you can still hear him because of the audio cues and how loud they are, along with the operators screaming in pain because they just got impaled with like needles. But he also has access to impacts, and his T5 is also very good. Move on to Maestro. Maestro is going to be another A tier pick because his Evil Eye can destroy thermite charges, Havanna pellets, all kinds of utility that the attackers can bring. He has an LMG that can just shred through people. He gets access to barbed wire and impacts, and both his secondary guns are very strong. And he was even stronger with the ACOG with the ACOG. If he still had the ACOG, he'd be contender for S. Mira, S tier pick because she can open up the site and force the attackers to play the way the defenders want to play around it, because Mira basically gets to have the opportunity of, they don't know I'm here, but I know they're there. I can see you, but you can't see me, which makes sense for her gadget, and it's very strong, and it changed the meta ever since her introduction. Going along with Mozzie, I think he's another S tier pick because he can deny intel of the attackers because of his device, because of his gadget, and he can essentially wall off certain areas from droning, so the attackers essentially have to go in blind. He also has Super Shorty to open up sight. He had both of his primaries are very strong, and he also gets access to Nitro Cell, which is another good utility. Mute's pretty high up there, probably better than Ella. I don't know. I'm gonna say probably around here because he brings a lot of intel and gadget denial for the defenders, like stopping thermite breaches, Havannas, drones, Jackal, Dokubi calls, and things like that. I can't name everything off the top of my head. And he also gets access to the SAS shotgun, which is very strong, as well as the SMG-11, which is a very hard to deal with close range combo. Moving on to Oryx, I think he's a D tier pick because I don't think he's worse than Clash, but he's pretty bad because his gadget is him running through walls and he takes damage because of it. His jump up hatches is also very audible. Actually, I'm gonna move him to C tier just because of I think that's worse because there's literally an audio cue of him jumping, and the only reason I'm putting him in C is because he gets access to the MP5. Pulse, a S tier operator because he brings intel, he brings things like plant denial. His guns aren't insanely great, but they aren't terrible. I know people you either think the ump is good or you think it's like dog. It's that bad. Like, I don't think it's that bad, but I know people do. I just think he brings a lot of intel without the enemy knowing if they don't have an IQ, as well as Nitro Cell, which brings a lot of utility and plant denial to the table. Rook is I'd say B tier. Rook is B tier because he doesn't excel in anything particular. What he does do is he ensures down instead of a kill on his teammates. Like, if a certain amount of bullets would kill someone, he ensures that they're downed first before they're killed. And he gets access to impacts and the MP5 ACOG, which is very strong. Smoke. Smoke is a high A tier operator because he brings area of denial. He brings a deployable. He brings the shotgun SMG-11 deadly combo. And he's very strong for stopping plants and smoking off entrances and blocking sight, essentially, with smokes. Well, I'd say he's bottom C tier because he's not great. He is easier to play around because I just don't think he's as good as what he's often compared to is Jager. I think he's not even in the same league as Jager. He's extremely bad, and I would just pick Jager over him almost any time, every day of the week. Moving on to, might as well go with Warden. Warden's D tier. He's like Glaz. He has to stand still, but the thing is, Glaz can kill people with body shots. Warden can't. Granted, he does get access to the SAS shotgun, but the Mossberg 590, but most people run the MPX, and granted, he gets access to a pistol that has a sight, but his gadget is so bad that it basically nullifies a lot about him. He's also very poor speed, speed related. I just realized I didn't put castle. His very bad speed stat. If he was maybe higher, one tick of speed higher, he could be better, but I still don't think he's that good because he has to stand still for his gadget to fully deploy. Tachanka, sadly, the Lord's down there. He has to stay stationary. His guns aren't exceptional. The sausage isn't great. The SMG isn't that bad. He gets access to a really nice reflex, but it's not enough to bring him out of D tier. Valkyrie, S tier, brings a lot of intel to the team. She gets access to Nitrocell. She gets access to the Deagle and the MPX. All around very good, especially when you combine into a 2-2 speed and armor operator. Vigil's high A. I'm conflicted about this because Vigil is more of a fragging op, but I think because of his guns, he's very strong, especially when he gets access to impacts, and impacts are very good at opening up sights so the defenders don't have to, but it's also really good when you're roaming to break hatches and leave, or get rid of Monty it's helping you 1v1 Monty shields and blitzes, but I think he's mainly up here because he has the K1A, which is very good. He gets impacts, and he's 3 speed, and he gets access to, I wouldn't say the SMG-12 is great, but it has a sight, so you can at least see your opponent before you shoot at them. But I'd pick the SMG-12 probably over the C7, because out of personal preference, but that's up to you. Recruit, honestly, Recruit's identity isn't the same as it is before, but with Recruit, you get access to actual gun attachments. Granted, you can't customize it, but he's not bad. I don't think. He's not as bad as he was before. So I think I'm going to put him... He at least... I think he's above Wamai. Probably more like this. Because he's just better than he was before, and he's not that terrible right now, and I think he's better than all these other operators because these operators have a lot of sound cues, and this Wamai is basically just directly countered by, well, not countered, but he's rivaled by Jager, and Jager wins out in every front. So yeah, I think that's going to be the tier list. I don't think I would make any other changes besides what I said. Ying could go to S tier depending on how the changes affect her and her stance in the meta. But I think she's not terrible right now. She's not great, but she's not bad. I would put her at B tier, but I'm putting her at A tier just to be on the safer side, I guess, of the changes going through and her being very good. But if she's super broken, I'd move her to probably S tier because she can solo carry the game. And yeah, I think that's going to be the tier list wrapped up. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.